Normally, I wouldn't make a public statement regarding private matters like this, but given the misinformation that's been circling around, especially the malicious disinformation, pardon my English, I figured it'd be best to clear the air. I hate that I have to go public for a fourth time now. I know it's getting old, especially after the disparaging and quite disturbing comments made about me by their staff members, but alas, here we are. As we all know by now, I formally and publicly requested that Luxe Nova remove everything created by me from their worlds on March 24th, which they agreed to do in the message sent to me by Perry following my removal. However, 2 days later, some of my assets were still present in all 4 of their worlds, despite management making the very bold claim that my stuff had been fully removed. So, once again, they lied. I'll let the footage roll. That's my fog particle. That's my fog particle. My fog particle is probably up there too, just very blurry. Those are still particles. That's still my animation. Let's look up really quickly. Still my animation, still particles. They have not substituted any of that yet. I cannot prove it one way or another without seeing the actual files and the raw code. But I do believe that this is still my custom script that I made to control all of these stage effects. The dust particles and those little like firefly thingies flying around, that was created by me. That animation was created by me, along with all of those particles on these stars. Obviously the Atmos shaders on both of those star objects as well, but that was all created by me. You can still hear my sound effects. That is my sound effect. You can kind of see it there, but the filament particles on the old observer star, which by the way is still using my shader, given how poorly management had treated me in the days prior to this discovery, I did not trust them to have an open and honest discussion about removing my assets, and I certainly didn't have the energy to go back and forth with them. I was having daily seizures. So, my only realistic option at the time, that also kept my health intact and myself out of the emergency room and in even more severe medical debt, I was forced to file a DMCA takedown request with VRChat Trust and Safety. That was my only realistic option. If you don't know how VRChat DMCA takedown requests work, you basically fill out a little form that asks for a few key things from you beyond the standard stuff. Screenshot and or video proof of the violating content, links to the content in violation on VRChat, and a link to an authorized copy of your assets for Trust and Safety to look at when determining if you could have a valid claim or not. That authorized copy is how VRChat determines whether or not they should act. Anyway, back to the timeline. Just one day later, might have been two, my brain has been fuzzy lately, seizures and whatnot, my takedown request went through, and all 4 worlds were taken down. Perry filed a counterclaim on specifically Radiance Lounge not too long after it all went through. Not on all 4 of the claims that I made, just that one specifically. Since I don't have the money to take this to court, we entered repeal negotiations to get my stuff taken out of all of the projects. I will say, these screenshots are pretty darn sketchy considering a lot of important information is hidden, but I did not have the energy to deal with that at the time. I still don't, so I let it slide. Those talks started and ended on March 30th, and VRChat repealed my claims on April 8th. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they're lying about more of my stuff being in the world, considering they very brazenly lied to all of their staff that my stuff was not in the projects when I have multiple video recordings showing that it was. It sucks. I really tried to resolve everything privately. I've been trying for months. I'm still trying to resolve things in the background, but I guess this is what happens when you negotiate with pathological liars. All management had to do was be honest. I know they pride themselves on radical candor. Where'd that go? They couldn't even respect their own staff team that they depend on to even be honest with them about what was going on. Regards, Skyjude Shaw.